Una y dos. Y dos. Una y dos. Una y dos.
Hello and welcome to Cortes NYC Livestream, the podcast.
This show broadcasts out of New York City.
We are your hosts, Cortes NYC.
And Carla de Puerto Rico.
And on this show, we talk about art, creativity, city life from a Latino perspective. I'm a visual artist.
And I'm a singer.
And this is episode 72.
As always, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, and Spotify, and on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And I just want to announce that I'll be at the Patches and Pins Expo next Saturday, April 20th. So go to patchesandpinsexpo.com and find out more information about it. I'll be selling stickers and pins and posters and all kinds of cool stuff.
And also a shout out to my first vocal coach in New York. Her name is Leandra McNair. So go check her out on her Instagram, Leandra McNair.
Let's get on with the show. That's how you start a show, Carla.
That is how you start a show. We were gone for some time, huh?
Yeah, huh?
Catching up in life.
Yeah, huh?
Catching up in work. We're catching up in the new collection of stickers.
Yeah, I wish catching up on sleep is I wish.
Yeah, I know, me too.
I wish we were catching up on sleep.
Me too.
But yeah, now
catching
we've been
up
busy.
on creative projects, which is good.
Yeah, I can't even say catching up. I could say creating creative projects.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we're back. We took a little break. Took a couple of weeks here to kind of get some projects going. Preparing for this next Patches and Pins Expo.
Yeah.
I've been making some stickers. I'm launching my second series of stickers. It's going to be a 6-pack this time.
And they're really cool.
Really cool stickers, graffiti
Very
stickers. And just making sure that I could get them done in time for the show next week. And then also messing around with some music. We was taking some breaks to kind of like
experiment.
Experiment with the equipment. I've spoken before on the podcast. If you guys want to go way back a couple episodes, I had a couple episodes where I spoke about music, but in one in particular, we talked about the Roland SP404A. It's like a sampling machine that I bought that is like a lot of fun. It's a lot of it's very useful. You know, you can use it as a drum machine. You can use it as a sampler. But recently I bought, now a couple of months now, but I bought a drum machine called the Drum Root Impact, and I bought a keyboard called the Roland JDXI. These two new toys are really, 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 like they've really opened up a different way of approaching making electronic music for me. I've really been enjoying it. And I think this goes into the topic of today's art talk, which is going to be... I feel like the topic is, I don't know exactly how to title it, but I want to say it's about connectivity, connecting in the digital age of art, connecting with a tactile feel, with a hands-on kind of approach, connecting to your art, and that the importance of that. I realized that when I got these machines, I've been making music for years now, making drum beats and sampling stuff and kind of looping things and playing guitar and kind of looping that kind of stuff, and always in the computer, in the GarageBand, and before that I had Cubase. And I realized at a certain point in my time involved in that I was getting kind of exhausted. There was like an exhaustion of like, I'm sitting at a computer all day, let's say at my day job or my day gigs or doing my freelance work, and I'm sitting at the computer doing digital visual art, and then I'll sit down for fun and do digital audio art, and I felt like I'm just a slave to the computer. I'm just constantly on the computer, and and then I'm editing videos. Where am I editing it? On the same damn machine. I'm editing them on on a computer, and I just started realizing like, the exhaustion was kind of taking the energy out of, especially with the music, taking the energy out of the music.
Yeah.
I'm a strong enough visual artist that I can crunch all day, just crack down on some really good graphic design work, illustration work in the computer. When I illustrate, I do it all in the computer. I don't even bother sketching anymore. I just go straight into Illustrator and just start drawing things. I made the complete transition. I'm completely digital, on my day job. I did that years ago. And I'm fine with that. And I can come home and still sketch or draw or do whatever. And it doesn't faze me at all. I still feel the need to want to draw by hand and draw with watercolors and pencils, but I'm not fazed by it. But the music, I haven't reached that because I don't have that, let's say, music day gig, that kind of pushes me further. I don't have that time to explore that. And I realized that I was getting exhausted. Like I was kind of losing interest in the music. I was like, well, I enjoyed. Then I started, experimenting with you on the covers. On cover music, I started getting back into the guitar, learning more chords, getting more into that. And I realized how important it was to get back into like actually plucking strings and learning about what am I really doing with my hands on the guitar and all that.
Right.
And exploring it further. And that made me realize, well, what about this keyboards? Like I started going online. I started researching what people are doing with keyboards nowadays. And I came across like a crowd of people that are really into like synthesizers and like these new smaller synthesizers. There's like a real fan base for these machines and people that are really using them to get away from the computers. Because people like newer generations are realizing like, okay, you can do a lot on the computer, but what are you doing to kind of improvise and perform live? You know, how do you take the synthesizer music and do something in front of people to kind of share with people?
Right. Yeah, and more with music that is I think it's an art that is meant to be shared.
Exactly.
And that is meant to be played in conjunction, let's say in a group.
Exactly.
Or with more people.
Yeah.
Because that's how music happens, right? You can have music with just one guitar, but it sounds, it has more energy when you have a guitar and a keyboard and a singer.
And you're playing off each other. And I think that's something also that is lost when you're, let's talk specifically about music right now, but when you're making music in the computer, the world is at your fingertips. You could do so much, but at the same time, you're so isolated and you don't have anybody to bounce back ideas with. And what you end up doing is you end up falling into a mechanical cycle where you're doing things and then you're kind of like just working with yourself and bouncing back against yourself.
Yeah.
When you can actually get a keyboard or a drum machine and do something live with somebody and do a little improvising and do a little playing around, and that opens up experimentation. And then next thing you know, you're sitting down on the synthesizer and you're like actually experimenting. You're trying a different way of playing something, or if you're improvising or you're playing with somebody live, whether it's whatever it might be, a new rhythm or a new tempo or something different, a different instrument on the keyboard, and it's a little bit of a struggle because you're fighting the physical timing of you playing it live. Suddenly a happy accident might happen and you realize like, well, there's a little shortcut. When I hit the keyboard like this, it kind of sounds better than when I hit it like that. And those little things create actually more energy in your music.
Right.
But those challenges only happen if you're really doing it live, or at least for other people to actually hear it. And I think that's where I started realizing like, yo, you know what? There really is something to this. Like you can make, let's say like myself, I'm just really a music producer. Not really a performer, but even if I just have a little bit of performance element to what I'm doing, it actually helps a lot. And I realized that I was like, wow, that's really important. And that's why I made the investment on that keyboard and that drum machine, and why I've spent the time these weeks, kind of like experimenting more with it and trying to just create little projects for myself with it that they're not necessarily going to end up in final music for some of them, but they are really good experiments that I can say I'm learning from.
Yeah.
But then it got me thinking about that. It really got me, I was really like in a new place. I was really thinking, I was like, you can call it a breakthrough. I was like, yo, like this is a real thing. Like, are people out there, are they missing that connectivity to art, let's say to the idea of somebody performing in front of them, but also visual art? Because I have heard other artists, friends of mine, express exhaustion at digital art.
Yeah.
I've heard it. I've listened to people say it. I mean, that's one of the reasons why for my visual art, you know, I like I said, I do watercolor, I do pencils, I do black book stuff, but I also do spray paint. I also do canvas work. I take on those other things because I know that helps me. I'm doing it unconsciously. I just know the feeling, and I know that I feel like I have to go and paint on a wall, and I feel like I have to do that. But in music, I didn't really have that language.
Right.
And it finally hit me. I was like, yeah, of course. Like, there has to be a physical... I need to maintain a physical connection with making the thing. How do I do it if I'm just doing it in a computer 2 bars at a time or a loop at a time, and I'm not allowing myself to play an entire piece of something?
Right. Mm-hmm.
With the accidents, with the mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but just letting it happen.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to actually push yourself to do something live and have some sort of thing like that. Now, I'm not the kind of keyboardist. I'm not going to sit down and play an entire composed song with chords and all that. So I think that the positive thing about this research that I did to buy this Roland is that it allows you, this keyboard allows you to kind of like record your own loops 4 bars at a time. Mm-hmm. And it allows you to record 3 different synthesizer tracks and 1 drum track. Mm-hmm. That allowed me to kind of have a little bit of both. It allows me to have a little bit of that computer programming kind of feel, but then at the same time do it live and switch between tracks live. And that kind of allowed me to realize a little bit of the programming that I'm used to, and then on top of that, a little bit of live element. And then, you know, the curiosity of, well, what can I do live with some of these loops once I've already recorded them? And then the drum machine, the impact is amazing as a live.
The drum machine is great for live performance because you can do almost like you're a DJ.
Exactly.
You know, like do a little
nice.
type of drum effects, effects to your drum that really makes a difference.
It's called a drum roll.
The drum roll. Okay,
yeah,
so that's
it allows you. No, the drum root impact that it gives you. It gives you a couple of different things. It allows you to first of all record in a live setting. So you could record just tapping, but you could also record by step sequencing, which anybody out there that knows how to mess around with step sequencing, they'll know what that means. You know, you're doing it in 16 pieces, you know, and it's all quantized. But also, it allows you to do live drum rolls. It has some buttons and stuff that lets the whatever you recorded do random fills. So it'll alter your preset drum beat so that the timing's a little different every bar, and that gives it a nice live feel. It also has a mute and a solo thing where you can mute certain parts of the drum beat and then solo certain instruments, add a little randomness to only one specific instrument or another one. So all this kind of play, it just opened it up. I was like, wow, this is really cool. It's almost like a drum kit, like being a drummer, but at the same time, it's still just a drum machine. Mm-hmm. And then, so between these 2 instruments, I think I've been really exploring that element of electronic music with a somewhat live element. And I think it's been really useful. And I think it's been useful for me as an artist, not so much specifically musician, but as an artist, to realize, holy shit, let's talk about connectivity in a digital age. Like, is it important? How are we consuming art nowadays? And I think I don't want to sound like an old man, but I think I am an old man, but I think that, you know, newer generations are kind of losing that interest in seeing like of having that connectivity. They don't know the difference, or they don't mind the difference between flicking through Instagram and finding art, and they're not even aware of how that art was made. They just know the art is there. And like that's where I feel like if you don't appreciate the process of making the art, mm-hmm. then how are you going to appreciate it, or how's it going to touch you? How's it going to connect to you? Right. I think, people that look at art or consume art now online, because that's predominantly what they're doing, mm-hmm. they're kind of desensitized to like the process of making the art. They don't even know. They just know that it's made, and some people might know like, well, it's made in the computer, and some people might think that way. And some people might say, well, what might be the software that they used?
Right.
you know, they might think about it like, was it done on a tablet?
Yeah, it becomes like kind of pop art. Something that you see, it appears, you appreciate it, but then it goes away.
Yeah,
and your life keeps going.
And it's so instantaneous.
Yeah, that.
You know, it's like
Exactly.
that they look at it for 2 seconds, and that's the length of it. Like, I don't think, you know, it's small and it's on your phone, so nobody's looking at the details.
Exactly.
Nobody's really analyzing, like looking up close to like look at, well, what's the surface like. Nobody's looking at it like you would real art in person, you know. And the fact that you're catching it like that, and that's the way you're seeing it, you know, you move on to the next thing so fast that all you're looking for is a gag. You're looking for something that grabs your attention quickly.
Exactly.
It's a shame. It's a shame. I mean, and it's got its positives and negatives. I've seen negatives and positives, but specifically talking about the connectivity, I feel like, yeah, we're losing some of that. We're losing a little bit of that connection to understanding the human side of what it took to sit down and do that. Now, when it comes to music, I think it's kind of the same thing where, you know, you're flicking through whatever it is, SoundCloud or, you know, Spotify or anything like that, or YouTube if you're watching it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And you're kind of just like clicking through and just like whatever. Like, there's so much music out there. I don't think people are really thinking about.
You don't even know what to hear.
No, you don't know what to hear. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't even know the angle of it. With so much sampling,
right?
You know, you don't even know if like the music's really being made by who, and you know, obviously, if you look at live performances specifically, and I think that's why we like that on YouTube. You know, we search a lot of live performances. Obviously, if you're looking at that kind of thing, yes, like you obviously know that it's made live, even though some of it might not be. But you have some of that in the visuals and in the sound of it. But if you're talking about pop music or electronic music, which is the popular music, half of that, I would say 80% of that is all artificial. Like, it's artificially constructed. It's all made in a studio, bit by bit, bar by bar. Yeah. You know, even the singing, even the music, the instruments, it's all either sampled or resampled, or, you know, it's fabricated, it's filtered, it's auto-tuned, it's all the stuff that you can imagine, all the negativity of like modern music. But because of that, you know, we don't have a connection because it's such a manufactured thing that it's not the same as just walking down the street and hearing musicians playing live in the street. Right. You know? When
we were talking about this topic to discuss now on the podcast, I was thinking on Keanu and Aiden, and I thought that it's interesting. They don't really ask for like to go to concerts or anything like that. They're more into movies. Yeah. But
movies and video games.
Yeah, but it's interesting that they don't even have that in mind, or even like a concept of, okay, there's concerts and you can go or something. Comparing to myself, when I was growing up, I used to go to concerts, and then when I had the money for me to go by myself, I'll go and enjoy music live, and that was always a great time. And it's interesting. I don't know if kids nowadays, they're really enjoying that type of venue,
or that experience.
Yeah, of experience.
I mean, I gotta admit, I wasn't really a concert kid growing up, especially because I grew up. I mean, I saw my father playing instruments, and I knew on the Spanish side what live music was.
Right. Yeah.
But on my English speaking side, with the rest of my teenage, you know, friends and everybody that we were in high school and all that, like, our music was hip hop. Right. So for us, the closest thing to live music and hip hop, you know, in the teenage years was maybe a DJ. And that's not live. I mean, the DJ was actually spinning records, and that felt live, but it wasn't live music. It's all recorded music that he was just playing, right? Yeah. So we were kind of already being trained, like, to just accept that, there's no live music.
Live music.
You know, music is pre-recorded and played for you, and you're acknowledging that the sound that you hear isn't really relative to like watching somebody create the sound. Right. You know, there's a disconnection between the creation of the music or the creation of the sounds and, you know, the sound that you're actually taking in. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I can't. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining about, let's say, where we're at nowadays with music.
Yeah.
But I do think that a disconnection has happened because of, just the way that music is being consumed now and the way
Right.
it's being packaged.
Right.
That it's just not there. I mean, I forwarded you that article that I found. There was a Forbes article that was talking about how some, I think Tumblr
Made a concert, kind of like a
live,
concert,
like
live event for creators that will share their music and their art through Tumblr, to have a venue to share it live with people. And
the goal for that was to bring connectivity back, to make people have a more of an experience than just the soundtrack, the audio track and the album cover. They wanted to make the album cover come to life. They wanted to have kind of like an experience kind of thing. They wanted to have like a live event, let's call it in real life, IRL, where you can actually feel like that thing that you've been listening to and seeing the little album cover on your phone, that thing, now you're walking into that thing when you go to see them in person. Or if you see it online and you see the video of the people experiencing this live, that you would see, let's say, the artwork of the album cover in the environment, in that space, that you would see maybe the album cover coming to life. Maybe if the album cover had an image of a person and a tree or something, that they would recreate that in a video format with a live performance, maybe a dancer or something like that. And I think they were just trying to kind of like bring artistry, mixing visual arts with music,
right.
But realizing the importance of it, because a lot of people aren't really connecting. They're not getting that connectivity.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think for me, unfortunately, like hip hop, is what I grew up in. And for me, unfortunately, hip hop has kind of faded down in kind of relevance. Like I don't really see the strength in it the way I used to. I just feel like it's still in me, but I don't see it around me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't see a lot of other music genres around me as much as I used to.
Right.
And the stuff that we hear in the street and all that, and the stuff that we hear, like if a car is driving by and you hear it, that kind of street sound is kind of dying out. But what you hear is very prefabricated. And what you see on YouTube is, like the new music and whatever. And you check out the video and you're like, it's all
very produced and
yeah.
And yeah, it's basically fabrication. It's like a copy. Like every single song sounds similar to the one that came out like 2 months ago or something like that. And then also the fact that now people are not selling that much by album but more by singles, so they can have a single running for a full year and you get your fame.
Well, and then there you go. So that's another good point. I didn't think of that. The packaging of the albums used to mean that the album could have a concept.
Exactly.
But if you do singles, it's very hard to build a concept around that.
That's
so
how,
their concept is really their reality show on their Instagram and on their their follow me as I go brush my teeth this morning or whatever it is, if I follow me while I'm in a club and I'm like being like infamous or notorious, like so you can kind of see the crazy shit I do.
That's how Bad Bunny started. He didn't have an album when he got his real fame. He did like I don't know how many remixes and collaborations, and then finally he had his album. But yeah, it happens. It is happening a lot, and not only in the reggaeton aspect, because in reggaeton it's happening a lot, but I think in hip hop as well.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to sell that way. They don't have to spend that much money. You make just one song that is a hit, and it runs for years.
Well, I think to sum this all up, I'm not going to get into all my thoughts on this in this little segment, but just to sum it up, what I really wanted to express to the artists out there is, realize the importance of connectivity, realize the importance that, let's say, if you're a graffiti artist, when you are out there painting live in front of people and people come to see your painting on a wall and all that, it does mean a lot to people that they're seeing you on Instagram, they're seeing you on YouTube, and all of a sudden now they get to see you in person. And they get to smell the paint. They get to feel the sun on their back. They get to see you at your own pace, creating that thing, it means a lot because it connects to another human being that way, more than just the final picture on Instagram and then everybody gives you a bunch of likes.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And the same thing with the musicians out there, realize that as well. You know, it's the connection with the people that's missing. It's the people seeing you developing the work, you performing the work with all its little flaws and its little like limitations, you know, that it's not just like it is on the record, but it's a little bit like it's a limited version of what you're going to end up obviously producing the hell out of. Yeah. But it's important to have that connectivity and to make, you know, think about that time when that song that, you know, just touched you that way and it made you feel a certain way or created a certain mood. Yeah. Usually it's attached to a feeling in real life, IRL. You know, there's usually something in real life that is connected to that music that makes that thing connect. Hopefully it's something positive and not something negative. But
and you as an artist are gonna feel much connected to your art and also to the people you're sharing with, because if you're doing it just for yourself or just digitally, you don't really see that connection. Or likes and shares.
Exactly. You know? I think that's the biggest part right here. Just for the likes.
Yeah.
We're breeding a generation of artists that are more happy with likes and little emojis than actual connections.
True.
It's a shame. All right.
So get connected.
Yeah, try to connect with your people, man, in real life.
Separa menos tiempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Culture talk, Carla. I've been waiting for this culture talk.
Yes, culture talk. Finally, it's here.
Yeah, what is it?
So we have been talking about connectivity and art and albums and singles and all this. So I decided that it will be a good episode to talk about Rosalía.
What? La Rosalía.
La Rosalía. Niño.
Rosalía.
Muy mal.
I remember when I first saw her on that award show and I didn't know who the hell that was. And now I know everything about her and I'm like, wow, I fucking slept on that.
And I'm like, where she came from.
Yeah, where the hell
how
did
she got here.
From? Exactly. Anybody who doesn't know Rosalía, just the way it sounds, Rosa, R-O-S-A, Lia, L-I-A. She actually pulled out an English-speaking song.
Yeah, like a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about it.
But she's a Spanish singer and really a creative powerhouse, I would say.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna give you a little overview of her career so far, and then we're gonna talk about a little bit about her latest album. And why do I want to talk about her? Because she has been inspiring a lot of people, but me most recently. Okay, we'll continue. So Rosalía, she's only 25 years old.
That's crazy.
First of all, she is a Spanish singer. She is from Barcelona. She's from a town in Barcelona. She's a singer, songwriter, record producer, and an actress also. She's known for her modern interpretations of flamenco music, and she has crossed language boundaries after receiving praise from international influencers and after several collaborations with artists such as J Balvin, Pharrell Williams, and James Blake. She started, actually, recently I saw a video of her when she was 15. She went to kind of like a reality show in Spain for artists. You could dance or you could sing, and she was singing. And it was actually very interesting to see her in that stage, because it's like, you know, that stage when you're just starting in your art and you really want to do it, but you don't know how. So she was trying very hard.
Never been there.
She was trying very hard. She was playing the guitar. She was trying to dance and sing, and it really wasn't that good. But, you know, she went there and she was like, no, I'm just here to listen to the professionals and I just want to learn from them and blah, blah. And at the end, she lost that competition. But I think that gave her the strength to go then and pursue studying music, because she went to university and she was studying music and flamenco and producing music and everything else. So she really has a background, and more an educational background,
right,
with music. And then, you know, she did a lot of collaborations since 2013, and in 2017 she came out, no, 2016, sorry, she came out with her first album that is called Los Angeles. It was a joint project with the producer and musician Raúl Refre, which presents reworks of flamenco classics, receiving overall praise. So this first album was all flamenco, and it was basically like covers of old flamenco's classics, but she was singing it with her own style, which gave it, even though there were remakes, it gave it kind of like a modern view to these old flamenco classics that everyone knows. But because of her style, her voice and her tone, her color, it gave her a totally different like feeling.
Right.
And then in 2018 is when she came out with El Mal Querer. But what is interesting about El Mal Querer that relates to what we were talking about is that Rosalía created a whole concept with them. El Mal Querer is almost like it is a novela. El Mal Querer basically goes through chapters where she describes how a relationship happened and different stages of a relationship, like jealousy, like when you're trying to seduce your partner, or when when the relationship is already going bad, and maybe the woman is trying to say, hey, no, I'm not your property. I loved you so much, but you think that I'm your property. Or maybe when the woman doesn't know what else to say and she just want to die because she doesn't have her love. So things like that happen through El Mal Querer. But she first got praise for that album is because she had 3 singles before coming out with the album. She had first the single of, one second, I'll tell you right now. Malamente, that was the first single.
What does El Mal Querer mean?
El Mal
in English.
El Mal Querer is the bad loving, or loving badly.
Okay.
Something like that. But yeah, that's what it means. So Rosalía came out with 3 singles before releasing her album. Her first single was Malamente, which with that one she got a lot of praise and she got a lot of attention internationally and obviously in Spain and Latin America. Then she came out with Pienso en tu mirar, and then she came out with Di mi nombre. And then finally, Di mi nombre was the latest single released in October, and then finally in November she came out with the full album, which was very interesting because even before the album coming out, she was already getting awards for these songs and basically for the album, because then it was a preview for a concept that it was different, that include flamenco, that include a little bit of hip hop and urban and R&B in a way. So there's a lot going on.
It was eclectic. It was an eclectic mix, and I think it took a different twist because, for me, it was mixing so much of music that I was used to hearing in a more acoustic setting, mixing that up with
and separate settings.
Separate settings, and exactly, and then bringing it into electronic music, right? But on top of that, current electronic trends, which are the trap and the freaking reggaeton and that kind of vibe. It's not exactly trap and reggaeton, but giving it that little touch, in a tasteful way.
Yeah.
It was very fashionable. It was very so. It was very fast. It got me quick. I was like, wow, like it's hitting a lot of really good notes. And her voice is great.
No, she's awesome.
I in the beginning wasn't understanding it. Like I was like, where's she coming from with this? And I was trying to understand where's she coming from. But it took me 2-3 songs. By the third song, I was like, I totally get what she's in. I'm hooked.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
By the third song that I heard from her, I was like, yeah, she's good. She's really good.
Yeah. And she was explaining that definitely to create an album, right, that it's important to have a concept. And she's totally right that she was saying that on an interview, she was saying that in order to create an album that will really hit home for people, that it should have the stories within the songs should be related to each other, or at least the music, or at least an instrument, something, so that the whole album is a creation, and it's not just a couple of songs together, but that they're all connected. And she's totally right with that. And then, so when I was listening to El Mal Querer, the whole album, I've been listening to it on Spotify. It was very interesting because it takes you, like I said, it's like watching a movie, and more when you watch the videos, because that's another thing that she did very smart. The art for the album and the art on the videos is amazing, and then the story behind the videos, you can really see that this novela is happening. And you can really see the lady or whomever she's trying to portray, that, oh my God, these feelings of, oh my God, he's gonna kill me if I go out, or oh my God, I just want to be grateful and tasteful for him. And
I think the videos are artistic.
Yeah.
But they're not artistic, or they're not abstract in a goofy way.
No.
They're definitely like set pieces, visually memorable imagery. There's choreography in it in some points.
Yeah, they're well put together.
Yeah, she's working with a really good team of content creators. In this time period where the YouTube videos and all that, like that's really where it's at. You release your album and you release it with a package of videos, and you're gonna make a big splash. And if you make something interesting that makes people want to reshare it and all that kind of stuff, and I think her stuff really resonates that way.
Yeah.
It has that perfect timing.
Exactly.
I think it's really good.
Yeah.
Very
good. Then definitely the inspiration that she has brought to a new generation. I think that we were missing someone like her.
Yeah.
We had so many pop artists and so many reggaeton artists and so many hip hop artists that don't say anything. When you find someone that finally wants to not only say a story, but also like keep her roots,
right,
and combine her roots with her music. And then when you see her speaking, it's not like, oh yeah, I'm just doing this because oh wow.
Right.
It's more about and she's so humble about it, and she really wants you to understand where she's coming from.
Right.
It's nice. It's like seeing a young Shakira, but with a lot more.
Well, I mean, don't knock Shakira.
No.
Shakira's got a long career. This girl's just starting.
No, yeah, definitely. But
we don't know where it's gonna go. Look at J Balvin. We don't know where this career is gonna go.
It's true.
This career might fall apart in a couple of years.
Yeah. No. But what I'm saying is that what Rosalía has that Shakira didn't have when she was starting is Rosalía now has the backup of social media and internet that is a bigger reach and a bigger share. And then also that it was so fast. Exactly. So people are getting to know her so fast now that everybody wants to work with her now.
I have to confess, I just heard that new song that she did in English, and if she's not careful, she could end up in a very dull place if she pursues making English songs the way she did this one.
Yeah.
She could end up in a very dull place because it's nothing compared to her Spanish stuff.
No.
And then again, it's going to be the problem where they're gonna bring her on and try to make her global by speaking English and making English style music, and it doesn't resonate as powerfully as when she's singing in Spanish and she has that cultural element to it.
Well, I saw her on an interview. Actually, they asked her, "Oh, would you do flamencos in English?" And she said, "Well, if I do that, it wouldn't really be flamenco." So I don't know. Maybe, hopefully, she doesn't get trapped into that thing of you have to sing in English, and that way you're gonna reach more people. Because I think she can do it with her own voice. And if you wanna listen to her, obviously, then you have to translate the lyrics. That's it.
Well, I mean, I know she's not like 100% genuine gypsy flamenco, person. I know that she's taking on some of that as a representation of her Spanish roots in general, the whole country.
Yeah.
But like, let's say the Gypsy Kings, for example, that group, they did English songs and they did Spanish songs. Their English songs were fine, but they're known for their Spanish songs.
Right.
And the Gypsy Kings are the Gypsy Kings, but they're not really 100% flamenco, and they're not 100%, gypsy root. Like, their stuff did go really pop, really mainstream, and their sound became kind of a cartoon of what gypsy music or flamenco music should sound like.
Yeah.
So, I think for her, the way I see it from my perspective, she has a long road ahead of her.
Yeah, definitely.
She can do a lot. She might switch from the flamenco thing to something else.
Yeah.
I could totally see her growing and saying, well, now I want to get into a little more of a Latin pop or Latin rock or Latin this or a different thing. Or she might get into, in English, might get into trap or something like that. I don't know, rap or something.
No, I can see
Lana Del Rey.
Because this Barefoot in the Park sounded so much like Lana Del Rey when she was singing the chorus part.
Yeah. But when you hear her singing, her voice as an instrument doesn't have that virtuosity.
Right.
It's just kind of like a regular singer. It's not like it's not like really like whoa, like a lot of variety of notes and that. And I think that's what happens.
Her range.
Yeah.
Her range is pretty.
So I think that's where I'm just nervous. When I heard that, I was like, I hope she doesn't go down this route too far, because it's gonna lead her into like some weird electronic pop girl.
Yeah, true.
And it might just get boring.
We'll see. But she just came out recently also with that song, and then also with a song with J Balvin. It's called Con Altura.
Yeah, that one's pretty good.
That one is pretty good, and the video is awesome as well.
Yeah, they're dancing inside of an airplane.
And
it's a stage, but it's
But it's
an
they're
airplane.
going up and blah blah.
Yeah, but that one is more a reggaeton thing.
But it's a flamenco thing.
But I heard it again today. If you listen to the lyrics and everything, it's all like
it's a reggaeton.
It's speaking to the language of the people.
She was saying that when she was growing up, she used to hear a lot of reggaeton as well. So she was like, well, it was like I was going to do this. It's just that I didn't know how to approach it.
Right.
And I was finding the right way to do it, and this was the right way.
Yeah.
And on the song, she actually gives some shout outs to Héctor Lavoe. And to Camarón.
Yeah.
She said something, llevo a Camarón en la cartera or something like that. Y de Héctor, something la sabrosura de Héctor.
Okay.
So she's giving like some shout outs to different artists that inspired her and
That's
singers. Cool. So that was cool in that song.
She's very smart. She's doing the right thing. Rosalía.
Yeah.
Rosalía. So what was the first song you heard from her?
I'm not sure now, but I think it was Pienso en tu mirar.
Pienso en tu mirar, yeah.
or Malamente, because I know I know that when we discovered her, I think it was first, but because of that video that was analyzing her music.
Right.
That YouTube video, there was a guy on YouTube, he's from Spain too, and he went like point by point analyzing Rosalia's album. And I remember I've heard, I think, one song before that, and I was like, oh wow, yeah, that album is really interesting.
Yeah.
Then he was going point by point.
That video was pretty good because he really dissected the structure of something that is so simple.
Yeah.
But he was pinpointing like, well, you know, these chords are specifically of that genre of music, and her singing style is not typical, but she's playing with that chord range because that's where the melody falls, and it's that it plays off of that, you know, so that it's a nice fusion of the trap and the flamenco
and the tempo and the drums.
Yeah, he really got into it, which was interesting. I was like, wow. Like,
and then she responded on Instagram.
She did?
Yeah, and she was like going by like point by point how he did, like trying to explain if that was true or not. And she was like, yeah, but almost everything he said he was correct on. And she actually has that story on Instagram if you guys wanna
what's her Instagram?
It's Rosalía.vt, I think. Let's look it up. Rosalía.vt.
Okay.
That's her Instagram. But yeah, now she's on tour. North America, also Latin America. She already went to Argentina, and that looked like a electronic music festival, because I think that's what it was. It was kind of like a festival, outdoors music festival.
Right.
And when she was singing one of her singles, it was like, wow, people were jumping and like screaming, and it looked crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think she, you know, she has a lot of things going for her, in the sense that everything we said earlier, everything we previously just said, you know, all these things. But also, she's an attractive girl, you know, she's an attractive young lady. She plays into the sexuality, but not in a vulgar way. No. Which is another really big positive thing, because you don't have that either. Yeah. Nowadays, so much.
Like, she's sexy, but she's not trying to be like in your face. Like, she's sexy because she is, but not.
She's. I don't know if I want to say like sexy. I would just want to say she's like attractive. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't want to say, because she doesn't pull off that like, let me be sexual, like over sexual. And even in the videos where she tries to be sexual, I just think I don't take it that way. It's something about it. I don't receive it like it's being pervertedly sexy.
Mm-hmm. No.
Like trying to like sell sex. Mm-hmm. But we're in an age where, you know, yeah, people take advantage of that, and they try to make it over sexualized, or almost to the point of like bragging of themselves being like, you know, promiscuous and all that. And I don't think she's done that. I'm not sure if she does it in her lyrics either.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
But I think that's a big plus for her, that she's also an attractive person with a lot of talent. Yeah. You know, and the future is hers. I mean,
she's doing it.
Yep.
Wanted me to teach you, right? Street reality.
Hablando español, Carla.
Okay, hablando español. Antes de nada, I just want to clarify. When I said the comment about Shakira, I wasn't toning down Shakira. Like, I love Shakira. She's one of my favorite Spanish singers. I'm always singing covers for Shakira.
If you guys have listened to this podcast, you know that the first 50 episodes is nothing but Shakira back to back on this podcast from Carla. And now it's going to be Rosalía back to back.
Nah. So I just wanted to say, okay?
Yeah, whatever.
I'm just saying, like, okay, but definitely Shakira is still an idol, and she has.
Shakira's old news. She's a mom. She ain't making music no more.
She's making Zootopias.
Exactly. She ain't got time for you.
But definitely just wanted to clarify. Okay. All right. It's okay. Hablando español.
Yeah, hablando español. What are we speaking?
Okay, so let's see if you know how to say this word. Maybe you know. Well, let's see if I know how to say it first. Instantaneous. How you say in Spanish?
Instantaneous? Instantaneous is... Bueno, it would be instantemente.
What?
Inmediatamente.
No.
Immediately. Inmediatamente.
Immediately is inmediatamente.
So instantaneous.
Instantáneo.
Instantáneo.
Como café instantáneo.
Oh shit, that's right. Instantáneo, like instant.
Yeah. Instant. It's not the same
Instant.
as immediate.
Instantáneo. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good one. That's a good one to know. Instantáneo. La gente quiere las cosas
Exacto, sí.
instantáneamente.
Wow.
Instantáneamente. Instantáneamente.
Exactly. How do you say then
Yes.
album cover?
I think we did this one before, and we came up with two. We were trying to say, I know the right way is Carátula, is album cover,
True.
but then I wanted to say el forro.
And I say portada.
Portada is the right way also. Portada, la portada del
Portada
álbum.
del álbum.
Portada del álbum, portada.
All right.
All right?
How do you say
Yes.
in real life?
In real life. En la vida real.
Yeah. Or en vida real.
En vida real. Got it?
Yep. All right. How do you say
Yes.
connectivity?
Conectividad.
Yeah.
Conectividad.
Yeah, you're right.
I got it.
How do you say?
Yes.
Let me see. We were talking about gadgets.
Gadgets?
How do you say
Gadgets? Well, first of all, how do you say gadgets, Carla?
How do you say gadgets in Spanish?
Gadgets? You mean gadgets, Carla?
Gadgets.
Gadgets. How do you say gadgets, Carla?
In
In Spanish, I have no idea.
in Spanish, you don't know?
No. I don't think you know how to say gadgets either. And I think gadgets a made-up word.
Well, actually, there's words for gadgets.
What are the words for
But
gadgets?
that's why I wanted to say it because I don't know it.
All right.
The first word that comes up, this is very weird. It's called artilugio. Artilugio, but
Artilugio.
I have never
I've
in
never
my life heard that word.
No, me neither.
But the other word is coming up is el aparato.
El aparato, that makes sense.
El
Aparato.
dispositivo.
Apparatus. Yeah. ¿El qué?
Dispositivo.
Dispositivo. I haven't heard that one.
I've heard dispositivo, but for another aspect of technology, like dispositivo. Oh my god, like the SIM cards, like the
SIM cards.
SD cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But gadget, aparato, definitely.
Aparato.
Like I would call this gadget the drum machine and the synthesizer. I would call them aparatos. And my mother would probably say el aparato de la música.
Exacto. That's verdad.
El aparato de la música. El aparato del sonido.
That's true. So those are the words I have. Do you have any words?
Yes. How do you say in English? I'll tell you in Spanish. How do you say in English? Altura.
Altura.
It's the beauty of this podcast. We go from
high,
Spanish to English and from English
highness?
to Spanish. What?
Altura.
Highness?
No. Altura is the level, tall, high.
La altura de...
No, sea level.
It's actually very easy. Altura is just height.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Altura is just height, Pip.
You know why? Because I think of height as like the measurement.
Right.
And that's what it is.
I mean, altura could be altitude.
Altitude.
Right?
Yeah.
Altura.
Se me fue la
I think literally altura would be altitude though.
Altura.
In Spanish is it altitud? ¿Existe?
Altura.
¿Altura o altitud?
Yo creo que existe también altitud. La altitud cuando estás en un avión.
Right. Pero la altura...
La altura es como la medida.
La
so
medida.
I think it's height.
So it's height, yeah.
But the way that they're using it in the song is like la altitud.
Right.
Con altura.
Right.
Or like it's almost like a your character. like you, be con altura.
All right, I got another one. How do you
Have
say
altura.
in Spanish? How do you say performance?
Presentación.
Presentación, which is presentation, is performance.
Yeah, I'm sure there has to be another word, but
Yeah. I think there should be another word. So there'd be like performance, and there'd be like to perform. Sería tu
presentarse.
presentar.
Actuación.
Actuación. That makes more sense than a presentación.
Yeah.
Porque la actuación, your performance can also mean like an athlete performing
Mm-hmm.
or an actor.
Yeah.
All right, Carla, thank you.
All right.
All right, wrapping up another show.
All right.
Hopefully we'll get another one happening sooner than later or sooner than before.
Yeah.
Now that we've kind of gotten through a few of the things that we had to get done, we can get back on this podcast grind.
Yeah. Try.
I have a couple of other topics I want to discuss, and also I want to get back to some drawing. I was doing some of the cartoon stuff previously, a couple episodes back. I want to get back on that. There's a couple of drawing things I want to discuss.
That sounds good.
Especially since I was working on these stickers, there was some things that popped into my head as I was working on them that I kind of just want to throw out there and brainstorm.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that.
And maybe we talk about my singing journey.
Oh, yes, we do have to talk about that.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of incorporate that into the next couple episodes. Carla's singing journey. Laters.
Wiki wiki, 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 wiki wiki. Di mi nombre. Cuando no haya nadie cerca, cuando no haya nadie cerca, cuando no haya nadie cerca. Que las cosas que me dices, que las cosas que hoy me dices no salgan por esa puerta. Y atame con tu cabello en la esquina de tu cama, que aunque el cabello se rompa, haré ver que estoy atada. Que aunque el cabello se rompa, haré ver que estoy atada. Di mi nombre. Pon tu cuerpo contra el mío, y haz que lo malo sea bueno, impuro, lo bendecido. Ya me rezas sobre tu cuerpo y en la esquina de tu cama, y en el último momento dime mi nombre a la cara. Y en el último momento dime mi nombre a la cara. Wiki wiki, 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 wiki wiki.